Welcome to the Genetec Technical Training online operator course for Mission Control. Before we start looking at how you can manage incidents happening on your system, let's take a general look at what Mission Control is and what it can do. The Mission Control software package is an upgrade to the existing Genetec Security Center software you have installed on your workstation and that you're currently using to view video from cameras, unlock doors, view vehicle license plates, and other security tasks. Mission Control was designed to help operators manage and resolve incidents that are happening on site in real time. Operators can be working on their own or be part of a group or team. The person that is responding to the incident is given procedure steps to follow, documents that can assist them in responding to the procedure steps, and are able to visually see everything that is happening on site using maps. Incidents can be worked on by multiple operators over the lifespan of the incident, and information can be easily shared in the procedure steps and comments. Additionally, an incident can be programmed to automate certain tasks, so an operator has more time and attention to devote to the actual incident information and people involved. All the relevant incidents for a group of operators are displayed within one task where all the incident management can be done, as well as a lot of other security tasks through the Security Center maps. We've been mentioning incidents a lot, so what are they exactly? An incident is an event or situation that's happening on site that needs to be responded to by an operator or automatically responded to using Mission Control and Security Center actions. Active incidents are shown in a list at the top of the incident monitoring task, and if they are linked to a specific spot or entity on a map, they will be shown as a pin with an icon related to that type of incident. This incident list only shows operators the incidents they need to see. Clicking on an incident in the list will center the map on the incident pin and show all the information we have on the incident in the Incident Details pane on the right. We can also select an incident by clicking on the pin on the map. Once we have an incident selected, we can take ownership of the incident and start to respond to procedure steps or perform other actions on the incident. Operators can make changes to the incident priority, which is the severity of the event happening, add comments in the latest activity list, view documents related to the incident they're working on, and associate this incident with Security Center entities like cameras, doors, zones, and other incidents. If an incident needs to be shared with another operator, it can be forwarded or transferred, and reminders can be set in case any follow-up is required after a certain time frame. When all the procedure steps have been completed, the incident is resolved and closed. If an operator wants to review closed incidents or generate reports with specific filters, they can do this from the Incident Report task. The incidents in the list can be viewed in tiles to review the incident information in the Details pane on the right, or they can be shown as charts for a more graphical representation of the incident list. The entire list of individual incidents can then be exported to keep the incident information in long-term storage or to share with any security organizations who might need it. All the different types of incidents that an operator can see and work with in the security desk are pre-configured by the Security Center administrators. Incident elements like the procedure steps, viewable documents, the default priority, list of users who can see the incident, and any automated activities can all be modified for a specific type of incident. To start using Mission Control, open your Security Desk application. From the Logon window, enter the IP address or name of your Security Center server in the directory field, then enter your username and password in the fields below. You may see additional fields if you require authorization from a supervisor to log on, or use your Windows credentials instead of typing in a specific username and password. Click Log On and your workstation will reach out to the directory server to establish a connection. If you make a mistake in one of the fields and it keeps failing to make a connection, click Cancel, correct the information entered in the fields, and try again. Once your Security Desk application connects, you'll see some new tasks in your home page. If you don't see your full task list, you may be viewing your favorites and recent items. Click on the Browse All Tasks button at the bottom of the page to go to the full list. There are 3 new tasks that have been added to your Security Desk after installing Mission Control. The main one you'll be using most of the time is the Incident Monitoring task, which can be found in the Operation Task group. The other two are reporting tasks that are in the Investigation Task group. They are the Incident Report and the Profile Report. We'll take a look at each one of these in their own section of the course. If you've been using the security desk for a while, you may have noticed the color coding system we have in place. A task with a blue highlight is a general task that is applicable to most components. Tasks with green highlights are for video, red are for access control, and orange are for license plate recognition. If you need to find your mission control tasks, you can just look for an icon with a purple highlight like this. Let's take a look around our mission control task to identify the different interface sections. We'll start out with the Incident Monitoring task, where you can view and modify active incidents and interact with Plan Manager maps. The three main sections of the Incident Monitoring task are the list on top, where you can see all the incidents that are visible to your user or group, the map below it, which displays the visible incidents and other map objects, and the details pane on the right, which shows all the information about the incident that has been selected. Above the list, we have our toolbar. On the left side, you can search for an incident or an object on your map, filter the list of incidents, and manually trigger an incident. On the right side of the toolbar, we have our map controls and task setup. If your user account has a default map associated with it, clicking on the Home button will bring up that map. Next to that is the indicator to show you which map you are currently looking at. Clicking on the map name brings up a drop-down menu of the area view where you can select a different map to view. When an incident type is being created by the system administrators, they decide which users or user groups should be able to see an incident when it is triggered. For example, in our Operations Center, we could have people that have been trained to respond to security threats on site, and a second group of people who only deal with maintenance and facilities issues, like a broken window or an elevator that is shut down. When the administrators create the incident types that are going to be used on the system, they want to make sure the security team isn't distracted by broken windows and elevators, and the maintenance team isn't trying to handle an incident they aren't prepared for, like an intruder in a secure area. To resolve this, they create two groups of operators, security and maintenance, and only assign the incidents to one group of users or the other. The people that can view an incident are known as recipients. In the center of our toolbar, there's a message telling you how many active incidents that are visible to you. This does not take into account any incidents that were not assigned to you. So if we have 5 security incidents and 3 maintenance incidents currently active, and you are on the security team, your toolbar will tell you there are 5 active incidents. If you filter your list of tasks, it will tell you how many you are seeing compared to the total that are visible to you. We'll see later on how we can manage the incident visibility of an active incident in case someone needs to see it who is currently not configured as a recipient in the incident type. In the top right corner of our security desk, we have our notification tray. There's a new icon for mission control that you may see show up there, which looks like a lightning bolt. This is where you'll see new incidents indicated, as well as any notifications you get from active incidents, like reminders and warnings about time limits. If you want to change the visibility of this icon, you can go to your security desk homepage by clicking on the tab on the top left, click on Options, and then go to the Visual tab. Look for Incidents from the In Tray section, and you can use the drop-down menu to hide the icon, always show the icon, or only show it when there are notifications. Don't forget to click the Save button to keep your changes in the security desk options. From the notification tray icon, you can choose to select new incidents or incidents with a notification alert in the Incident Monitoring task or in the Monitoring task. Taking a look at the map section of the interface, this is where the incidents in the list show up as pins with their own pin colors and icons. Additionally, you can see other Security Center entities on the map, like doors, cameras, intrusion zones, and anything else that can be physically represented. The map behaves the same way as it would if you loaded it in a monitoring task tile. Left-click on the background and drag the map to move it, and use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can also use the controls on the side of the map to zoom in and out, return to the home view of that map, and use the Smart Click to turn the PTZ cameras to a location on the map. Additionally, we can drag a box around a group of entities to send them to tiles in a monitoring task, but this does not select Mission Control incident pins, only things like cameras or doors. You can also drag a box around an area and the map will zoom in and center around that approximate location. If you zoom far enough out of a map and the map objects are too close together, they will cluster together to form a spot. The number in the spot is the number of objects in that cluster, including incidents. The small number in the red dot on the top right corner is the number of incidents that are included in this cluster. Clicking on a cluster will zoom in until the objects in it are no longer clustered together. If you hover on an incident pin on the map, you'll get more information about the incident associated with that pin, or be able to choose the incident to view if there are multiple pins on the same map object. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the Incident Details pane. This is where all the information about the currently selected incident will be shown. The Details pane is divided into different sections depending on the type of information shown, and you can see more information about a section by expanding it using the greater than symbol next to the section name, or by clicking on the section name itself. Once you're in a detailed view of the section, click on the less than symbol or the section name again to collapse it and return to the General Details view. Each of the sections serves a different purpose. The Overview section on top shows the incident status, visibility, and key information. A lot of this is the same information you can get in the list, but presented in an easier to read, no scrolling required format. Reminders are like alarm clocks you can set for an incident or can be set automatically in the incident. It's a way for Mission Control to alert people that something needs to be done in this incident. If you have one set for the incident you are working on, you'll see the bell icon in the list, and you'll have a section in the Details pane for it, showing the next time it'll pop up an alert. There's no expanded view for the Reminder section, but there is a menu to modify or delete the reminder from here. The Procedures section is the next one down in the list, and this may be displaying one of two things. If the incident is fairly straightforward, the administrators of the system will have set it up using simple procedure steps. In this case, you'll see all the procedure steps with checkboxes next to them. If the incident steps may change depending on the situation, the incident will be set up with dynamic procedure steps. The Procedure section will only show the current step with options for you to select. Below the Procedure section is our latest activity section. This is the history of the incident, including what or who triggered it, and responses to procedure steps or comments that have been entered. If you need to look back at your response to a particular step, or to see what somebody else may have typed in a comment or step response, you can find that information in the latest activity. The Related Incidents section is used to look up similar incidents to the one you're working on, either triggered on the same entity or that have the same type of incident. You can also connect two incidents to each other from this section, so anyone reviewing the incident or working on it later can see that there's something else happening in another incident that affects this one. They remain independent incidents, but the person at least knows that there's more information to review in the other incident. For example, if you're working on an incident where someone needs medical assistance, and you discover it's because of a wet floor incident someone else is working on, you can connect the two together so a supervisor can look at the details of both later on. You can also link Security Center entities to the incident if they're related to the incident but not used to trigger the incident. The entities used to automatically trigger an incident will be included in the Related Entities section already, but you can add others, like cameras or doors, so the incident has a more complete picture of the situation that's happening. On the bottom of the list is the Documents section, where any related documents that may be helpful while working on the incident are kept. These can be any kind of file, like a PDF file with a list of vehicles, a website with emergency contact information, or an Excel file with charts and calculations. On the bottom of the Details pane, there's a quick state change button, a menu button represented by 3 dots, and tabs to change what we're seeing in the details pane. When working on an incident, you'll notice you typically transition from one state to the next in a fairly normal order. The incident is in a new state, then goes in progress while you're working on it, finally you resolve it, and once you've reviewed the incident, you can put it in a closed state. The Quick State Change button will show you the next logical state change, so you can just click on it to put the incident in progress, resolve it, or other common state changes. The Menu button shows a list of things you can do with the incident, like taking or releasing ownership, changing the state, adding reminders, or exporting the incident information. If you right-click on the incident in the list pane or the incident pin on the map, you'll get the same menu with the same options. So there's several ways to bring the menu up. On the very bottom of the details pane are two tabs, General and Incident. When you click on an incident and start working on it, the Incident tab will be selected, and it shows all the information we were talking about in the last few minutes. If your incident is pinned to an entity like a door or a camera, clicking on the General tab will bring up the entity widgets. These are the same widgets you'd see in the monitoring task when you select the entity. You can also click on one of the entities on the map and use the General tab to use the entity's widgets, regardless if it has an incident pinned on it or not. For example, if I wanted to add a bookmark to a camera that's currently recording, I would click on the camera to select it, which would also bring up the video playback window, and then I would click on the General tab at the bottom of the details pane and click on the Add Bookmark button in the camera widget. I could also right-click on the video window that popped up to get the camera menu and do it from there. So again, you can do things in whatever way you feel comfortable with. Let's take a look over on the right side where we have our setup icon. This is where you can customize what your incident monitoring task is showing and some of the behavior. If you have multiple monitors on your workstation, you can open several incident monitoring tasks, position them in different monitors, and customize what is being displayed in each one. From the Setup menu, you can choose to show both the list and map, like we are here, or just the list in a task, or just the map. Only one of these three selections can be active. Below that, you can select where you want the list to be positioned. By default, we have it on top, but if you want to put the map on top and the list on the bottom, you can do that. The Incident Details pane can also be turned on or off for the particular task you are in by checking or unchecking this option. In earlier versions of Mission Control, this was called the dashboard, so if you see this option referring to the dashboard, it's the same thing. If you look closely in the middle of the border between the Details pane and the left side of the task, you'll see 4 dots. Click and hold on the 4 dots and drag left or right to resize the Details pane. You can also do this on the border between the list and the map to give more space to one or the other. Let's take a look at a quick example where I have a 2-monitor setup and I want to view my map on one screen and have my list and details pane on the screen next to it. I'm going to show both my screens in the video, which is going to make any details on them hard to see, but I'll show you what we're selecting on the bottom here. First, I would need to put my security desk in full screen mode by pressing F11. Each screen should have its own security desk window. If one of your monitors does not have a security desk window, or you want to keep one monitor from being used by the security desk, click on the Home button, go into Options, and in the General tab, look under the Full Screen Monitors section. You can check or uncheck the monitors listed there to let the security desk know which ones to use when you go into full screen mode. Now, going back to my example, I have my main monitor on the left here, and I have a second security desk window running on the right, waiting for a task to run. This is still all the same security desk application running, but it's running in 2 windows. On the left side is where I do most of my work, so I want to have my list and details pane there. In my incident monitoring task, I'm going to click on the setup icon and select List Only and keep the Show Incident Details pane selected. The list position is relative to the map, so it doesn't matter if I have it on the top or bottom. Using left or right will squish it to one side, so I'm not going to make any changes there. You'd really only use the left or right position if you have an extra wide monitor or only want to display some columns. I can use the handle on the border between the list and the details pane to resize it now, so I have an easier time reading the procedure step or the latest activity. Now, on the monitor on the right side, I'm going to put my map there so I can see where things are happening and if anything new pops up. In the Security Desk window, I'm going to choose the Incident Monitoring task. Once that comes up, I'm going to go to the setup icon for that task, and I'm going to select Map Only and uncheck the Show Incident Details pane selection. Now I can easily track everything on the right monitor and select what I want to work on and respond to incidents on my left monitor. Let's bring this back to one screen again to go over the last two sections in the setup menu. The maps you're using in the Mission Control Incident Monitoring task are the same ones you can view in the Monitoring or Maps task and are not configured specifically for this task. So there may be some objects on the map that you don't need to see while you're working on incidents. To reduce the clutter, you can select or deselect layers of the map to add or remove entire types of objects. You can select layers from the Setup menu, or you can right-click on an empty space on the map. The first time you go into the Layers menu, everything is checked by default, but you can uncheck things you don't need to see or won't be interacting with. You can use the Select All or Select None buttons on the bottom of the list, and to make it easier to see, you can check the Hide Empty Layers box to only see what types of objects you have on the map. For example, if I have alarms on my map, but I know I'll never need to see the status of the alarms or perform any actions on them, I can uncheck my Alarm layer. In the Setup menu, you can also bring up an Options window to manage how the task behaves. The first section is for incident monitoring. The minimum priority in notification tray selection is used to restrict when the security desk will warn you about a new incident. By default, it is set to low, so any incident that is a low priority or higher will show up in our little lightning bolt icon in the notification tray. There's nothing below low, so that means everything will show up. If you're working on something important or are supervising a team and don't want to be bothered by anything that isn't a high or critical priority, you can select High from the drop-down menu. The low and medium priority incidents will still show up on your list and on your map, but you won't get a notification about it. Below that, you have a switch to turn the notification tray alerts off completely if you want to. Now, when we were looking at the two incident monitoring tasks before, if I selected an incident on my map on the right, it would show that incident as selected in my list on the left and update the details pane with that incident information. We can change that behavior in the next series of checkboxes. To have them run completely independently, so you can have multiple incidents selected in multiple tasks, you can uncheck the Synchronize Incident Monitoring Tasks option. You can also have it only partially synchronize things using the three options below that. The incident that is selected can be independent, the filters applied to the list can be different for each task, and any list column sorting, grouping, and selection can be done differently on each task as well. Let me tell you, this is a multitasker's dream right here. If you're using a georeferenced default map, one that is linked to a map server and uses very accurate global positions, you can use the Show All Incidents on the default map to have the incidents show up on that georeferenced map. If this is unchecked, they'll only show up on the area they're triggered on. The areas will be used if the default map is not georeferenced as well. When the system administrators create maps, they tell the system how many zoom levels they want to have. Basically, how many steps to go from zoomed out completely to zoomed in completely. The initial map zoom level for selected incidents is a percentage of how zoomed in you want the map to be when you select an incident. By default, it's set to 100%, so it's completely zoomed in, but you can change this to a lower value if you want to have a better idea of what is located around the incident on the map. For example, if I change this to 50 or 50%, it will zoom in halfway, and I can see what other objects are around the incident on the map, like cameras or doors. If your map does not have a lot of zoom levels, making small changes to this value may not show any change when you select an incident. Just make larger changes to the value in this case. Since the Incident Details pane is where you'll be looking to get most of your information, we've given it an independent font size in the options. The changes are immediate and do not require a restart. There are two ways of viewing an incident in the security desk. The first way is to click once on the incident in the list or on the map to bring it up in the Details pane. The second is to double-click on the incident in the list or the map, and this will open it up in a monitoring task. You can still respond to the incident procedure steps and things like that, but you'll have your full tile canvas to work with. You can use the tiles to view cameras or other entities you drag in from the area view. Our next group of options are defaults related to opening an incident in the monitoring task. If the first option, Append Map to Incident Content, is checked, the map with the incident on it will be loaded into one of the monitoring task tiles. In case you bring up an incident that is in the new state in the monitoring task, you can have it automatically changed to In Progress by having the Automatically Change Incident State option checked. The regular monitoring task has a few functions to make viewing the canvas easier, including hiding the controls and hiding the area view. When bringing up an incident, you can select if you want the area view automatically hidden or not using the next option. This is on by default. If you have multiple screens, you can also force the monitoring task to always come up in one of your screens or monitors. Each screen is given a unique ID. To find out the IDs of your screens, click on the Home button, click on the options on the left, then select the Visual tab on the left side of the pop-up window. In the In Tray section, look for the Monitor ID option and change the drop-down next to it to Show. Save the changes, and you should now see a little screen icon in the notification tray of each task with the monitor number inside it. The monitor IDs generally do not change, so you can show it, note the IDs for your monitors, and hide this tray option again if you'd like. Moving on to the next section in the options, this is where we can set up some default behavior for exporting incidents. Here you can select if you want the current view of your map exported as an image file, export any snapshots from events that triggered the incident, video from events as well, or related videos. Related videos are from cameras that have been associated with the incident but were not used to automatically trigger the incident. You can also select if you want to compress the output, which means it creates a zip file with everything in it and puts it in your vault. If you choose to zip the contents, you can also choose to delete the original files once the zip file has been created, just to clear up some space. When you export an incident, it creates a handy but not very readable XML file. Great for computers, not so great for humans. So you can also create a second file in either a PDF or HTML format using the Additional Export Format drop-down menu. PDF files are easy to distribute, and HTML files open up in web browsers. Both will show the same information. It's really up to you to decide which one you want to share. You can also set up the video export details below that, like how many seconds before the event to use in the playback offset and the duration of the video. These are all your default settings that you're configuring, but when you do the actual export, you can change these values for the individual export you're doing if you'd like. Don't forget to hit Apply if you've made any changes, or hit Cancel if you want to go back to the way it was before the modifications. That's the end of the interface tour, but we'll be taking a closer look at some of the things we covered in the list and details panes a little later on.